Welcome back to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your continued support. UDA government continues to attract a lot of enemies as a result of their poor policies, from the people who voted for them to the people who rejected them from the onset. One man who has found himself at the center of this hatred is Alfred Keter. He continues to become a thorn in the flesh to the Ruto government, fearlessly exposing the rot, the unkept promises, the hooliganism, and how the government continues to hoodwink wananchi. Now today, he's come out with something that will not be very palatable to the deputy president. Of late, their relationship has gone from bad to worse after Rigathi traveled all the way from Mount Kenya to Rift Valley and read a riot act to the people of Mount Kenya, why they continue to give Alfred Keter audience, and he claimed that Alfred was rejected during nominations and so he does not deserve any opportunity to speak to the masses. But Alfred Keter maintains that he is joining the opposition because they want to liberate their people. Now this is what Alfred Keter is saying. If it looks like a duck, swims like a duck, and quacks like a duck, then it probably is a duck. If you know, you know. And the main cause of this is that Alfred Keter is coming up with what looks like a leaked document, and this is a termination letter that led to Rigathi being kicked out as a district officer back then in 1997. And the letter reads, Office of the President, Republic of Kenya, 30th July 1997. Mr. Geoffrey Rigathi, District Officer 1, Laikipia, through the Provincial Commissioner. Summary dismissal, and it continues to read, reference is made to our letter dated 19th May 1989 on your appointment to the position of District Officer 1 and your response statements to show cause for gross misconduct, desertion of duty, and reported mismanagement of relief food for Laikipia District. In this regard, we wish to notify you that your employment contract has been terminated forthwith. Consequently, you are required to report to the Rift Valley Provincial Commissioner for handover and clearance. Yours sincerely, TM Quindwa, if I read it right, Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Cabinet and Head of Public Service. So that is the letter that Alfred Keter is giving us. And as I told you, their relationship has moved from bad to worse. And Alfred Keter wants to paint a picture of the kind of the senior most leaders that are on top of the Kenyan affairs. You know, this government, if you ask Kenyans, they have lost faith in it. At one point, you look at people who have got questionable integrity, and you don't know whether we have people who even have real certificates, because Kenya is being led by the law of the jungle. If you look at the fake fertilizers and fake certificates and impersonations, you wonder the kind of government that we are subject to. But to Rigathi, if this is true, and I wish to believe that this is not true, then the question on chapter 6 would come. The reason why people are still arguing whether Sonko can vie as a governor or Ferdinand Waititu can vie as a governor is the question on chapter 6, dealing with integrity. Because if there is a public officer who has been terminated on gross misconduct, then that person does not fit to hold any office. And I don't know why this did not come up when Rigathi was picked as a deputy president, Maybe someone would have gone to court to claim all this. And so I cannot authenticate this letter. But of course, it has been given there in public, and Alfred Keter has posted it, and so it's public. But if at all this is true, then it only means one thing. In a government that many have labeled as a government that cannot fight corruption, when we see such things, then you understand that if we are being led by a deputy president who at one point was terminated, and the cause of the termination of the contract is indicated misconduct and mismanagement of relief food for Laikipia district. When you see such kind of things, then you confirm our fears, because we have a government that, if you look at what is happening currently, we've got controversy in land, and people are saying that most of this land are going to government officials. Recently, Rigathi just won a case that he had on some hectares of land, and the court ruled that the land belongs to him. You know what is happening with the land surrounding, pitting the president and the people. If you have a government that is being led by people who are corrupt, people who have got questionable characters, then I can assure you that they will not have the audacity even to fight corruption. Let me tell you something. These are the kind of leaders that the Western powers would want, because you could not jump over the moon yet that Rigathi Gachagua is incompetent at all this. If at all this is true, I can assure you that these are the people who people like Meg Whitman and Joe Biden would want to lead us. Politicians who are shrewd, who are cunning, who are brutal, really meet the expectations of the Western powers. And Rigathi Gachagua might just surprise you to become the next president of Kenya with all the questionable characters that are meted around him. Now, why would Rigathi Gachagua be worried about this letter? Number one is about the PR. When people look at you as someone whose contract was terminated because you mismanaged relief food, and you are handling public finances, public fund, then one is tempted to ask, is our money safe? It reminds me of the reasoning behind the housing levy money. People are asking, is that money safe? It also reminds me of the money that was put aside to handle floods when it was predicted that we would have El Nino. To date, the Auditor General said that money was mismanaged. And I remember Rigathi Gachagua was, convening meetings with governors and the National Disaster Management Team to look into this affair. Now, one might use this very maliciously, especially in the UDA. If William Ruto does not want to pick Rigathi Gachagua as his running mate, he can invoke this and take him to court through someone, and then talk to the courts of justice so that he can be blocked to become the next running mate. It is very easy. We are in a government that is full of betrayal, and betrayal is one of the very many permanent things that ever happen in politics. So if someone, for example, if William Ruto would want to sabotage his deputy, then it is very easy. They can use this letter, they go to the courts, and they talk to the judges, then they simply bar him from contesting. In Senegal, the person who was supposed to become a president was barred by Macky Sall, when Macky Sall thought that by barring him, his candidate would win. But the candidate supported another very close ally who went ahead. He was only released from detention 10 days into election. He didn't even have time to campaign. But then he went and he became the president who was elected. So Rigathi Gachagua can suffer the final blow on this if William Ruto does not want him to become the next deputy president or the next president. But then it does not surprise me, because this government, if you ask me, does not have the political goodwill of fighting corruption, does not have the best people who can handle our affairs. Today, Nakumincha is unable to handle doctors who are on strike. If you look at Ezekiel Machogu and the affairs of education, he falls short. He falls short of the people, his predecessors. And so I will not be surprised if half of the cabinet are people who are using fake certificates, because the ESCC told us that quite a number of civil servants are using fake certificates. And of course, we have people who have got questionable characters. I don't know what Rigathi is going to do about this, but I know he's going to dismiss it as a mere hearsay. I don't know what to think, but that is my take.